Here we go.
Yeah.
We are live. Probably. Yep, we should be live.
It's getting there.
It's good. Alright, so welcome everyone. This is On Just Restart, and I am joined by Mandy from Mandy Lee Plays. Her channel is linked in the description below. First, I'd like to thank Mandy for jumping on last minute. I very much appreciate that. She is a boss and also does Nintendo content, so you should definitely check out her channel. How's it been?
It's been good. But yeah, I do Nintendo stuff over on my channel, so take a look if you're interested. But thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Very last minute, but
super last minute.
Caught me at a good time.
It was like 45 minutes before the show. The thing is, I got stuck with work, and I didn't realize Brandon wasn't gonna be able to join because by the time I contacted him, it was like right when I was done with work. And you know, Mandy and I are cool, but we haven't had a show together for a while. But I was like, she did tell me if I ever needed like space last minute to like ask her, and I was like, all right, well, this is about as last minute as it gets. Let's test the theory. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm available. So here we are. We're talking about Nintendo tonight, and that's what we do pretty much every Monday night. We did things a little bit later, 8:30, right? Like I said, I got out of work late. Like I only had like 15 minutes, 20-ish minutes between the typical start time. I needed time to eat, prepare and everything. So, you know, a little bit of a delay there. But today we're going to be talking about Dynamo Pictures. That is the name of a new studio that Nintendo has acquired. It was formerly known as Dynamo Studios, and this studio has helped with other CD projects in the past. So we'll be talking about that tonight. What potential there may be with that. We're going to be talking about how there could potentially be some imminent Mario Kart Wave 2 DLC getting announced soon. It's not confirmed information, but I think it's happening. I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I think it's getting announced this week. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. Until it's official, it's not official. But we're going to be talking about some information suggesting it could be happening soon. We're going to be talking about how Bayonetta 3 got a confirmed release date for this year still, late October 28th, just last week.
It came through.
Exactly.
I thought they were going to cancel. I was like, oh no.
They were so quiet, so silent, so mum. But here we are, we're getting Bayonetta 3. Right in the nick of time. But also, the day right before Bayonetta 3 got its confirmation, we got an announcement for another published Nintendo game to come out this year. But it's digital only. Kirby's Dream Buffet. It looks like
that one's good.
Cute, really well done, well represented Kirby game that's like racing and running around in mini game like style environments that are all, well, delicious
Kirby,
cake and candy. Yeah.
The more cuteness, the better.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about it.
Here.
I'm definitely want it. It looks pretty fun to me.
A lot of people think it's like overkill. I'm like, well, that's two Kirby things. I mean, I like it.
It's a good point, though. I think we should get to that because I don't agree with that. I think it's fine. So I think we're gonna.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But other people don't. I'm like, it's Kirby.
Let's put a pin on that. We'll get to that first, as our first topics. But beyond Bayonetta, Kirby, the Mario Kart, and Nintendo Pictures, we'll also be discussing a little bit on some Pokemon leaks, and then of course whatever you guys present in the chat, because we will be checking back and forth to the chat throughout. It's fair game, really. So we will be doing that. And on the note of the chat, I am now going to check in on the chat real quick before we jump into the discussion. Guys, let me know how everything is looking and sounding. I'd very much appreciate that. And I'm
good on my end.
Good. Thank you for letting me know.
Don't know how it sounds.
Yeah, guys, please let me know.
For all I know.
Let us know we sound okay, please, or if we don't, so I can try and fix it. But I'm seeing here we actually have a new member. Thank you for becoming a member, Upper Nimbus. Very much appreciated. Welcome to the Nintendo membership. It's not Nintendo membership. It's the On Just Restart membership.
What a cutie.
And this is Ruby.
Look, I'm wearing cat ears.
She's attracted to the cat ears. She's like, oh, friend. Hello.
I think you're having hopes for the headphone compliment.
So I don't know why Ruby decided to come up now, but she's like, oh, There's cat ears. Let me check. And she was also excited for Upper Nimbus joining as a member. Very much appreciated. So let's check on the chat here. Let's see. Charles Shadell, hello there. You added me. It's perfect you are not that late either, so thank you for your time. Very much appreciated. I appreciate you appreciating my time. Thank you. I enjoy doing this, but sometimes it does get challenging with time at least. I say having hope here is telling me that everything sounds great. Thank you. That is awesome. Very good. Joy CJ, hello there. Thank you, Upper Nimbus. Thank you, T. Elijah Morrison. I love that you guys love Ruby. Having Hope 5, sending some love as well. Giancarlo, thank you. Yeah, she's my little princess. Let's see here.
Like, she has very refined features.
Yeah, she's like a little lion. She's an Abyssinian. She's actually has African origins.
Damn.
Yeah. Never
really heard of cat breeds.
Yeah.
I have a dog.
He's cute.
Nico? Yeah, he's a mutt. I don't even know what breed he is.
Yeah, I mean, after Onyx passed away, after a while, what are you doing? Why? Why now all of a sudden you decide to play with all the chords? What is it? It's because we're talking about you? Is that what it is?
They have that sixth sense.
She does oftentimes show up. Okay, goodbye. Anyway, yeah. So Onyx passed away because he had feline leukemia from birth. So I just wanted to be really careful about making sure this next cat was healthy. So I looked for a breeder. I looked for a breed that I thought was cool, like an actual breed. And this cat's supposed to be really social and athletic and energetic, and they're kind of rare, which I thought was cool. So it was a little challenging to get her. I had to go to Colombia to do it, but it was fun.
Damn.
Yeah, it was fun, and she's great. So I'm very happy. She gets along with everyone. But
good.
Let's.
I lowered the volume down a bit, but someone said my voice was a little loud.
Was it? Okay, I didn't think it was loud, but I guess what they hear is a little different from what I hear.
Oh yeah, it's so much. I hate audio.
Guys, let us know if our audio sounds balanced, okay? But let's jump into this, right? Because you touched on Kirby first. Let's tackle that, and then we'll get into the other topics. So Kirby's Dream Buffet. Let me see if I can pull up some images here because I thought it looked pretty cool. But what were your thoughts?
I just thought it looked cute. Honestly, so cute. I love Kirby. He's right there chilling on my bed. And I can't get enough of Kirby stuff. Though I could kind of understand why some people are like, another Kirby, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But they don't have anything against Kirby, just because it's kind of needs some other games.
Yeah.
I'm just they could work on multiple things.
So let's go ahead and read the description for Kirby's Dream Buffet here on Nintendo's website. Roll through a smorgasbord of food-themed stages in 4 rounds of 4-player fun as Kirby, who seems rounder than usual. Race through delicious obstacle courses to collect strawberries as Kirby grows, then turn the tides in the final round, a fruity fight atop a floating platform. Roll through delicious food-themed obstacle courses and 4-player matches, collect strawberries to grow bigger, and prepare for the final battle. Interesting. So...
yeah, it looks like a party game.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. Because, what's funny about Kirby games, they tend to always have, a party mode, right? They usually have, a handful of mini-games you can play that are outside of the main campaign, and you can play them multiplayer. But... as much as I love Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I think it might be the best Kirby game ever, at least for my personal taste. I think it's really good.
Yeah,
it's definitely up there. It's one of the best ones in my opinion. It's looking to be one of the best selling. I think it's at least already second. It might have already taken the top spot in terms of best sales for Kirby games, but it's definitely up there. Why are you so active right now? Just relax. Whatever, you do you. I'm just worried about her making noise. I'm thinking about letting her out, but she's fine.
No, that's fine. She's fine.
Yeah. But it was anyway, going back to my point, most of the Kirby games have like that sort of like set of mini games you can play with other people. Kirby in the Forgotten Land, as great as it is, doesn't have it. And I'm not saying it necessarily as a knock, but it's not there. So it's almost like Kirby's Dream Buffet is kind of like a form of that. Now it's compensating in a way. Now obviously, you know, there's more money to be had here, right? 2 separate different games that you pay 2 different price tags for. But I mean, this is an eShop game. I don't think it costs as much. Is there an announced price yet? I don't think so. It's just all we know is it's releasing in summer 2022. But I doubt it's gonna be as expensive, and it also seems to be like a more of a dedicated effort, right? So, and that's interesting. This is a neat little concept. So you're basically kind of racing through, and you're building up forward towards like a final fight. That all sounds great to me.
They could have just threw Kirby in Mario Party, called it a day.
They could have.
Thinking about that, that's a good idea.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Kirby in there. That would be neat, but I wouldn't want that instead of this. This looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like this looks.
The more Kirby, the better. So. But that's just me because I like the pink.
I mean, visually, it looks pretty fun. It's cool. Like, and you're racing against a lot of different people. Well, at least 4 people. It just looked like more in some earlier parts.
I'm counting
at least 5 Kirbys on screen. 6 Kirbys. And I see 5.
How many Kirbys? You get a Kirby.
Some of them Waddle Dees. Oh, some of them are Waddle Dees. Okay, that's why. Okay. 4 Kirbys, but sometimes there's Waddle Dees mixed in there. Yeah.
It looks like a fun game. No harm in it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can show you guys some shots. Let me screen share real quick.
It's very, like, there's so much food. Makes me hungry.
Yeah, right?
I saw someone in chat say that. It's making them hungry. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Let me see.
Strawberries, cake.
Whoa, my bad.
That.
My bad. You should be able to see the Kirby footage now. But like, yeah, it just looks.
Online is not required. Yeah, I don't think it's required. No, it is a good game.
Although I do hope it is online. I'd be disappointed if it isn't.
Yeah, like if the online is bad, I'm just gonna like facepalm.
I'm just kind of hoping there is online.
Yeah.
We don't have that much footage.
I mean, knowing Nintendo's track record with online, I'm kind of like...
I'm just confused because we're already in the summer, right? So they announced it in the summer. They say it's releasing in the summer, but we don't really have that much information on it.
Just that it's very cute. Yeah. And it has a lot to do with food.
Yeah, there's a transformation.
I mean, I'm sold.
There. I think there's like a master hand-like thing. Yeah, there we go. Right in the beginning of one of the races, there's a master hand... 2 hands that look like the master hands from Smash Brothers. That count off looks like the count off from Smash 64, which is really neat.
I hate master hands. That thing scared me as a child. Still does.
Now, what's neat about that though is there is a connection, right? Because HAL develops Kirby, but they also developed the initial Super Smash Bros. 64. So just an interest. It's probably just a nod. I don't know if it ties into the gameplay or the story, if there is any story, but I mean, I don't.
Maybe just like a nod or Easter egg.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But this, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a very pretty looking. Oh, hold on, look at this. Check this out. So the master hand's actually in the background. That's cool. Yeah, even in the victory screen.
I'm just like, master hand's always scared me. I don't know, but he seems cool in the trailer.
I guess the idea...
Crazy Hand. Ooh.
Master Hand and Crazy Hand. There's transformations too. It's not just like a round ball. So this does seem to be like some variety to the gameplay here.
We could get fat.
Yeah, maybe. Right. You guys are gonna get blinded
Well,
again
he said
by
more
the
rounder.
infinite looping. There we go. Yeah, that
Seems
is
like
it.
a fun time overall, though. I just hope they come through with the online because, holy cow!
Yeah.
Like you can't drop the ball like that, Nintendo. You can't.
Well,
No
does the
online.
website
I'll be
tell
like,
us?
come on.
The website might have. Let's see here. Any Nintendo Switch online membership sold separately, and okay, a Nintendo account required for online features. So there are online features. They wouldn't have that
Alright,
disclaimer at the
well.
bottom if there weren't online, if they didn't need online features. So that's good.
Only time will tell.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would assume that means multiplayer. It doesn't have to be. It might not be multiplayer. It might just be like little updates, but there might also be more than 4 colors for Kirby too, because if you look at the cover art, yeah. All right, so yeah, there's a blue and a yellow Kirby, but if you take a look at the, let me show you.
Is there a rainbow Kirby? Oh my god, that would be so cool.
Close.
Oh my gosh.
More like boring Kirby.
There's a classic pink, and then you could get like
There's a brown Kirby.
a rainbow unlock. Ew.
There's a brown for chocolate.
I guess. I don't know. Rainbow Kirby. Let's go.
Yeah,
Make
but
it happen,
there is a
Nintendo.
brown Kirby, there is a teal Kirby, there's a yellow Kirby, there's a blue Kirby. I think there's an orange Kirby as well.
A green? It has to be green.
Well,
Can't just
I
skip green.
called it teal, the one that's on the cover art here.
Oh.
But I mean, maybe there's also a normal green one as well.
Red?
Right? So there's probably several colors. I feel like there's definitely more than just the typical 4. So at
Yeah,
the
it would
end,
be cool
all right, I'll
if you
tell
could,
you
like,
this: if you look
unlock-
at the end, there is a lime green. So
Mhm.
there's a teal, there's a lime green, there's a light blue, there's a pink, there's a yellow, there's a brown. Is that-
colorful
I've
Kirby.
seen at least
Purple.
6 colors so far.
Yeah, they could just.
Now maybe
Rainbow
it could be
Kirby.
like a transformation, and maybe the lime green one was just like off color in a shot. It could be.
Yeah, well, seems like a good variety. The brown one though,
It.
kind of looks like a piece of
Yeah,
chocolate.
if
I
you
guess.
just look at the gameplay, it's yellow, pink, light blue, light green, like a lime green, right? But if you
I
take a
have a-
look at the website, I don't
Kirby
think he
statue.
looks.
And it's like brown. Well, he's holding like a brown
Oh.
piece of chocolate.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Kirby.
Kirby's awesome. But I mean, I'm just looking here at the final bit of footage where you do the weigh-ins. The green Kirby has dark green shoes, but if you take a look at the art again, I'll show you one more time. It's this Kirby, which I don't think is a lime green. This is more like a teal. It's like a blue green, right?
People in chat are saying like more mint green.
Mint green, sure.
I'm
mint,
like, yeah.
it's like more of a mint green. I'll agree with that. Point is though, the shoes though are dark brown. They are definitely like a dark green, not like the lime green Kirby in the trailer. And then there's just straight up a chocolate colored Kirby right here. So I don't know if this means that Kirby got dipped in chocolate and it's normally blue. But
Maybe you get to customize them.
maybe.
Like you get to unlock like accessories, put a bow on it or something.
Well, I mean, if it's a multiplayer / online focused Kirby game, it makes sense that there could be perhaps like accessories, color changes, things of that nature. I don't know how
Rainbow
Stanch is.
Kirby.
Yeah, that would be neat. I'm not opposed to it necessarily. So I need to get these phone
But-
pads fixed. They continually fall every time I put them up. Anyway, I'll get it fixed this week, I promise. But yeah, it's just checking on my cat. She's just sitting down. She's good. Yeah, no, this I think there's a lot of, honestly, there's a decent amount of potential here. Like I'm gonna assume it's not like Nintendo's goal to make this like a big sort of massive online experience, But
I don't think it's a big game, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Kirby Fighters.
Sure.
Just a little side game.
Now, I'm assuming we're going to pay for it. I've made that assumption, but I'll throw out the idea because we don't know. I don't think we know for a fact yet. Maybe we do, but I just haven't seen the info. But not at least based off the website.
Yeah.
Could it be
I'd
free to
rather
play?
pay for it. Oh, I'm trying to avoid that. Because,
Okay.
Free to play is never free. Nothing's ever
Sure.
free in life.
Or what if it's a situation where you can pay for it, but if you have Nintendo's Online Plus membership, it's free?
I mean, that would be nice. I have the 64 membership.
Yeah, exactly.
and
Now, I'm
I
not saying that's
need
what
it
they're
for
going to do,
something.
but it would be a nice change of pace, right? Because they've been giving us like DLC and then the virtual games, the virtual console, but like the N64 games and Sega Genesis. But what if they were to add an actual new game to the mix? Something like this, where it's not a full-on new game. It's a full new game, but it's not a full $60 game. It's a smaller digital release. Like something like that, I could see Nintendo throwing in there. Will they? Obviously, only time will really tell. But they haven't announced the pricing structure yet. They haven't given us a release date yet. Details are pretty sparse on this right now, even though it's supposedly coming out this summer. So I'm kind of very curious, what's going on with this. Maybe they just wanted to sort of like announce what it is initially so people understand the concept. And then once they're closer to when they actually want to release it, that's when they'll be like, oh, okay, hey, so this is how you're going to buy the game. This is the pay structure. And they'll give us more content, obviously, as well. Because maybe, there's something more to it.
I hope there's a physical release, but I doubt it.
But I mean,
it doesn't seem like a.
This is
maybe a bundle with Forgotten Land.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, that's an interesting idea. So say there's a September Direct, and this game performs well. Kirby and Forgotten Land continues to perform well. Maybe they put together like a special bundle package. That would be neat.
Oh, but then they're gonna just stick the code.
Yeah, they
kind
would.
of defeats the purpose.
They probably would. Yeah, they would just do that. It's way easier. It's cheaper too because you don't have to like, shove in
manufacture.
Manufacture new cartridge, right? So I guess not. It's kind of hard to sort of. It would have to be its own thing, and it would have to be really successful where they felt like there was a need for it. I don't know. And then also it comes down to the pay structure too, because if it is just like seeing it for free with Nintendo's online membership, would they really have it? Like is there a Tetris 99 a retail release?
I think so.
There might be,
but I could be wrong. I feel like I've seen this somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like a limited run.
But it's also kind of like, what's the point? It's purely for a collector's sort of. It's purely for a collector's reason, because like it's an online only game. Well, I guess you can purchase.
Well, yeah.
You can purchase it so you can play like standard single player, right?
As a physical collector, I liked physical games, obviously, because what's happening with all the physical games.
Yeah.
So
disappearing.
But one eShop one isn't. I don't mind, especially if it's like a little game.
Okay, it looks like there was, according to Destructoid, there was a retail release for Tetris 99 a few years ago. For $30. Okay, interesting.
Physical games for the win.
Yeah.
Yep. Have you heard about the Xenoblade Chronicles Special Edition? That one's like really annoying to get.
So
Nintendo.
I know of it. I'm not even bothering to try and get it because I just.
Me either.
It's not. It's not that I wouldn't want it. I just. By the time I look, it's gone, and like I don't want it so bad that I'm like actively looking for it. I guess you could say there's a lot more people that want it more than I do. I'm gonna get Xenoblade Chronicles 3 immediately. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Xenoblade fan. I'm playing through Xenoblade Chronicles 2 right now, and I'm enjoying it massively. 2? You're playing through 2 right now?
No, I'm a huge Xenoblade Chronicles fan.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I'll just get the standard. That's enough for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could get the special edition, then I'll get it, but I'm not gonna
What I have been thinking about doing, though, is
throw
going
hands
back
or
and
anything.
looking for the Xenoblade 2 Pro controller, because that was a really cool
That,
controller.
you know,
Thinking
though
about
those are very expensive.
it. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Anything Xenoblade related, even some of their standard games are like, since they go out of print a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially 2, people resell them for like a lot of money. I'm just like, why? And then Nintendo like did this thing where you have to sign in through the like through your Nintendo ID and do all this stuff. I'm just like, I get the point, but the execution's just like, okay. Nobody got it. I know some people who got it, but
I saw that
nobody really.
they were having issues and they're working to get more out.
Yeah, I'm not trying with Bayonetta either. Like,
That's gonna be it's just
I
challenging.
love you, Bayonetta, but I'm not.
There's,
Special editions are just like, I don't bother anymore.
I'll
If I
bother
could
for
get
Zelda.
'em,
I mean,
yeah,
even
that's the only
for
one.
Zelda, like, so I got the Breath of the Wild one. But there was 2 different versions. There was the Masters Edition. There was, I believe, the Special Edition. There was 2 different versions. And I had heard that the Masters Edition was online only. But when I was getting my Switch pre-order, I asked GameStop, it's like, hey, look, I explained to them there are 2 different versions. There's the Masters version and the Special Edition version. The one I'm trying to get is the Masters version that has the Master Sword statue replica. And they're like, oh yeah, we have it. I'm like, are you sure? Like, yeah, for sure. I was like, okay, I'm pre-ordering with you guys. Sure enough, they only had the Special Edition. And I didn't get the Master Edition because I didn't even try doing it online because I went for the Masters one. Now, granted, it's way harder to get it online because those things sell immediately. So your only hope is that you're in a town where not everyone rushes to the nearest gaming store that has those types of pre-orders, which are usually pretty limited.
Or like someone dropped their pre-order last minute. Some weird miracle happened.
Yeah, I mean, you can try that too, right? Like, let's say GameStop orders like 10 of the Masters Edition, and 10 people pre-order it within like 2 hours. But you're there on launch day, and you see that only 9 people have gotten it, and you're like, hey, can I come get this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, but you have to wait till this pre-order expires. So maybe you have to come back after like 24 hours or 48 hours. I forget the policy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the first one there, you could in theory buy it. Like, I think there's that possibility.
I've had the same conversation before about GameStop.
But then the other problem is you would be foregoing your. I mean, you would have to not get Breath of the Wild. I mean, you could buy it twice, or I guess you could buy it and then return it. So if it's unopened, they might be okay with that. But then you have to wait 2 days to not even play it to get the sword statue thing. So it's not ideal.
Dedication.
Yeah, it requires dedication. That I agree with. But let's check with the chat here. Yeah, you're right. But let's check in with the chat here, and then we'll check in with a couple points and questions, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Let's see here. Upper Nimbus, yes, physical games for the win. I know a lot of you guys believe in physical games, and I'm not saying I disbelieve in physical games, but I gotta be frank with you. I'm lazy. I oftentimes I'm just like, oh, but I could just download it right now. I don't have to leave the house to get it, and I could just play it at midnight.
A lot of people say that, yeah.
They don't have to switch games. I don't like having to switch games. There's a huge convenience of playing games digitally. Now, I understand the concern that maybe someday those games are no longer playable for us, or we don't have access to them. Maybe you're right, but I'll also tell you this. I have my Wii U, and I don't touch it, really. Sometimes I go back, there's a few games on there that I want to record gameplay for, but it's very, very rare. And I haven't, I mean, my Wii is dead, unfortunately. And GameCube I gave to a family member years ago. So, point is, I don't know. Like, I rarely backtrack to systems. I'm not saying I don't, because I love playing N64, for example. But Nintendo's actually doing a relatively decent job, I would say, at least right now, of giving us some older entries, right? We do have access to a lot of NES games, a lot of Super Nintendo games, a lot of N64 games. The library is building. Now, what would be nice is if once we transition to the next system, those things aren't abandoned and we have to start from scratch again. That's that I think is going to be the big sign. Like if Nintendo takes what they've already established with Switch and they just build upon it, don't reset all the content again, but just build upon it. I think, you know, we're looking at something promising. And I'll tell you this, I'm actually optimistic of this. Not just because I'm biased, which and admittedly I am, because this is beneficial for me. But think about this for a moment. They just started the N64 membership, right? It's not that old. And they just told us recently that they're going to be announcing more N64 games. Let's not even get started on all the Game Boy Advance rumors. If you were to say, given that, do you feel like this membership is nearing its end? Because we are nearing the next generation, right? We're not too far off from Switch 2. Maybe it's not next year, but surely by 2025, right? So if they're still bringing out new content for their online service now, like how... I mean, I guess conceivably they could bring out new content until next year and then they abandon things, but I just don't see them abandoning it that soon.
I just don't see how, like, because they added extra money for the N64
right,
one.
they just started that.
They can't just keep taxing on for each console. Like,
can you imagine that they just abandon the service like after a couple of years to a new service? Now, when I say abandon, they probably wouldn't shut it down, but would they just immediately jump to a whole other type of online service on their new system and focus on that instead? I feel like, given what they've already had us do, had us invest in this and what they're putting into it, coming up with new content all the time, I don't think we're like in the last couple of years of this online service. I feel like we're in the beginning of it, is what I'm really trying to get at here.
They have to, like, make it better. Like,
right.
The N64 and the SNES should be together in the same kind of app thing. They shouldn't be apart.
I don't disagree with that necessarily. Like, I think that's fine, but those things aren't abandoning what's already there. That's just reforming it. You can have a new platform that maybe repackages the software, you know, or you can update things. They can do all of that. Now
I just don't see how they're gonna announce like a GameCube one and then tax on 20 for that. I'm just like, okay, this is getting ridiculous.
Now there is something else to consider here, though, and that's how much space these apps take up, right? Because
not that much.
You can play these games while not being connected online, so it's not like they're being streamed. So they don't take up that much now, but as we add bigger and bigger and newer games, right? Like a GameCube app, for example, would take up a lot more space than the N64 or Super Nintendo. And if we get to like Wii, or heck, if we get to Wii U, I mean, we're not going to get to Wii U, but point is, they take up space. So I just wonder, you know, one advantage of having them being separate apps is you don't have to have every app if you just want, like, say, GameCube stuff. But I think the best case scenario would be to have one app, and maybe there is like a bandwidth thing, but you can have like a lot at a certain point, you know?
Yeah, but they have to structure it, like, are they gonna do it where they say, okay, Nintendo Online plus you could pick 3 services or something for this price, or are they just gonna like I said, keep taxing on?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think at this point they just keep it as is and they just build upon it. Now, I don't know if they'll ever add GameCube. You know, I think N64, that's the focus right now. But doing things like the DLC, maybe they add a few other free games, like maybe Kirby's Dream Buffet. Probably. I don't know if probably is the right word. I don't know, but possibly. But I'm not saying it's likely either. But, you know, maybe they do stuff like that. Anyway, it's a tangent, but I was just simply saying that I don't think Nintendo's abandoning this new service, right? They may change it, to your point, they may make it better, but I don't think like they're gonna reset anytime soon. because it just doesn't make any. Based off the timing of things, like I don't think they're gonna reset it for Switch 2, unless Switch 2 is like 10 years away. But that's not 10 years away. We're about to hit the 6-year anniversary for Switch. Like they're gonna move on. I'm not saying they're gonna move on immediately.
Hopefully, yeah.
But they have to eventually move on. So I think that this online service is here to stay. It may be updated.
Yeah. It needs to be updated.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion, though. I don't like the whole... I just feel like they shouldn't have taken Virtual Console off, but it's already off. There's no arguing about it. But I feel like at the end of the day, they're just gonna make a new Virtual Console-esque type thing, but have it where it's paid via online instead of just like buy each game.
Yeah. So CDE Fox here added me. If you're gonna be going over the Pokemon leaks I share in the server, it's only a fraction of all those. You want to look at Central Leaks Twitter for all of them. I actually am going to be pulling from Central Leaks later, but thank you for that. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, Pokemon League.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yeah. Having Hope 5. I'm halfway through Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Just finished Chapter 5. About to start Chapter 6. I'm so ready for the next game.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Right now, I'm in more Ardane. We are searching for Lila.
It's your first time?
No, it's my second time.
Oh, okay.
I played it back in 2017 when it came out.
Yeah, I was like, I thought you played it when it came out.
I'm just replaying it now. So.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, I love it.
I envy those who are playing for the first time. I'm like, man, I wish.
It's still pretty enjoyable. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but there's a big fight that happens at the end of the Oriya section, the giant whale, where you have Vandom with you, and everything that transpires there. Like, there's a lot of big moments, and that was super impactful. Like, it got me good. Like, I enjoyed it a lot.
Like, I love Xenoblade Chronicles 2, though, but the first one is my favorite. Because, I don't know, I feel like I got invested into the story a little bit more than 2. But they're all really good. Like,
I love them all. Xenoblade 1, Xenoblade 2, Xenoblade X, Xenoblade 2, Torn to the Golden Country. Heck, even Future Connected. I love exploring Future Connected. The story for Future Connected is not really like significant, but it's still fun. It's still like a fun world to explore and play. It's still fun.
Yep, and the gameplay was improved. They had the whole like Napon Boy Scout thing.
Yeah, it was cute.
The little flags.
I got all of them. Yeah,
me too.
They were great.
So for a side game, it was a big chunker. It was like Torna kind of.
It was maybe like half of Torna's size, or like a third, like 2/3. It was it would take someone like 10 to 20 hours to play through. Torna was like maybe like a 20-ish, 30-hour experience. Obviously, there's wiggle room depending on who does a side quest and things like that. But it was significant. I love just running around those fields. It's a good time.
And I don't like Melia, but I did like her character in that.
Yeah, and
she's not my favorite, but I did like it.
I do feel like a lot of what they did for Melee was set up for Xenoblade 3 as well, with the story elements in there. But let's jump into the next topic here. So we still got to talk about Bayonetta, we still got to talk about Pokemon, we got to talk about Mario Kart, and Nintendo Pictures. So we still got 4 topics left here. What should we jump into next? I just touched on the Pokemon leaks. I guess we could just do that one. Yeah. It's not like the main thing we're talking about tonight, so I won't dwell too much on it. But there's some things to talk about, so let's get into it. Now, full disclaimer, I say leaks. People have been saying leaks. Should they actually be considered leaks? I mean, in reality, it's a rumor, but a lot of people believe these leaks because it's coming from places that people think have a pretty consistent track record. I've heard a lot of this comes from the Riddler, is how people refer to him. But just take it with a grain of salt. Now, Central Leaks has sort of compiled a lot of this information. I will screen share. I don't really think anything here ruins your experience of the game, in my opinion. So I'll give you some fair warning now, but I don't think we're going to be talking about is so spoilery it ruins your experience in any way. There's no story spoilers here. It doesn't even tell you really the names of Pokemon. It's just saying, oh, there's going to be some Pokemon with new forms. So I don't think it's be significant. And again, it may not even be true. So, you know. But I'll go.
Riddler.
Yeah, let's...
I just think that's silly, but, you know, fun.
Yeah, and if you're worried about spoilers, come back in 5 minutes. We should be done talking about it. Again, I don't think that spoilers really matter, but, you know. It is what it is.
Some people are sensitive. They probably think, oh, spoiler.
And I mean, I'll be frank, though. Like, I personally don't like it when we're about a week away from the game, and the entire game is data mined, and they release the entire Pokemon list.
We're a week away from the game?
I'm just talking about hypothetically. In the past, when we've been about a week away from like the release for, say, Sword and Shield, and then the entire game is stolen from a store or something and data mined, and they release it on the internet, and we know about all the Pokemon forms and moves before the game comes out. Like, I personally don't like that. Like, at that point, let's just wait till the game comes out. Like, we're so close to the release. Why must you leak it days beforehand? So it just seems useless to me. But anyway, go on.
It's Pokemon. I mean, it's kind of formulaic at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Though, obviously, there's the starters, the evolution, so there's that, gym leaders, and all that we still don't know. Yeah,
but let's go through some of these leaks now. All right, so Central Leaks is saying here's a full list of currently leaked regional forms. So supposedly, Wooper, Tauros are going to get regional forms. Primeape, Wooper, Murkrow, Dunsparce, Girafarig, and Pawniard are going to get new evolutions. So to explain this, for those who may be confused. Okay, so in Pokemon there are regional variations. So like, for example, Pikachu evolves into Raichu. But in Alola, Pokemon Sun and Moon, if your Pikachu evolves, it still evolves into Raichu. But it's a different form of Raichu. It's a psychic version of Raichu.
His tail is a surfboard.
Yeah, exactly. He's a Surge Surfer.
They usually come in like a different, like if it's a fire, they might make it fire rock or something. They'll usually switch up the like their type.
Yeah, like for example, Alolan Ninetales is an ice fairy as opposed to fire. It's like almost like a complete 180. But so you have those regional variations, right? And here they're saying Wooper is gonna be poison, which is interesting. And then Tauros will just have a different type of form. Now, with the new evolutions, this is where things may get a little complicated, because you'd be thinking, okay, like Primeape gets a new evolution. What that means is that probably there's going to be normal Mankey and normal Primeape. However, there will be an evolution that goes after Primeape in Scarlet and Violet, which I think will be cool, because Primeape itself is not really viable most of the time, but with that extra evolution boosting its stats, it might put it into that viable category.
So it might fit in with the environment.
Yeah.
It's usually like they change up the look. Like I remember with Sword and Shield, they had coughing in like a bowler hat or something.
Yeah. And
or
it had the pipes too. It was neat. It was like a little factory.
If it's the theme.
Yeah,
they do it right.
There'll definitely be some sort of theme there. I'm not even sure what they would do for Primeape, but I do like the idea of getting an evolution. Now, Wooper, which you might think is weird, Wooper evolves to Quagsire. So when they say new evolution, the implication here is that Wooper won't evolve into Quagsire in our new region of Scarlet and Violet. It'll evolve into a new Pokemon instead of Quagsire. And same thing with Murkrow. Murkrow won't evolve into Honchkrow. It'll evolve into something new. Dunsparce doesn't have an evolution, so it'll finally get an evolution, which will be pretty darn cool if that's the case. Girafarig can also get an evolution, which is pretty cool. And then Pawniard has an evolution in Bisharp, but the implication here is that maybe it turns into something else. So Pawniard's a little more predictable, because Pawniard's like a pawn from chess, and Bisharp's like a bishop from chess. So then maybe it becomes either, I'm going to guess a rook.
I don't play chess, but a rook is higher than a bishop.
It's tangential. So
Or maybe
bishops
it'll
go.
turn into a king or queen.
Bishops move diagonally. Rooks move forwards. They move horizontally and vertically.
Imagine if it moves diagonally. Like it just, that's how it moves.
Well, that's what
Oh,
Bishop
that would be
does.
cool.
It would be funny, but that's what Bishop does. Would do hypothetically. So a rook, though, it makes some sense because rooks look like castles, and then castles. There's a lot of castles in Spain, so they might be based off that. Now they could go for a knight, but I feel like they've done the knight theme before. So if I were to make a prediction, I feel like if Ponder gets an evolution, it'll still be chess based, and it'll be based off of a rook. I could be mistaken, I could be wrong. That's just what I'm sort of vibing with. But maybe it is like a king or a queen, which also is a possibility too. Another idea is maybe it could evolve into a rook, and then maybe it evolves beyond that into a queen. So that's an idea, another idea. But I feel like it'll only get one more evolution. But you know, we'll see. Even though we don't even know if this is gonna be real. And then supposedly Jigglypuff, Amoonguss Mischievous, Volcarona.
Jigglypuff, that would be cool.
There's gonna be an ancient species variation of them. So
An ancient species.
there's like a past and future theme that's in Scarlet and Violet that we know. And what people are now speculating, or beyond just speculating because there's these quote unquote leaks, is that there's gonna be ancient forms for the past and then future forms for the future. So Jigglypuff will have an ancient form. I guess it won't be called a form, it'll just be another Pokemon, but you know, it'll be ancient.
Jigglypuff's always Jigglypuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the future form will be different.
Well, there isn't going to be a future one for Jigglypuff, but there will be a future Delibird, there will be a future Gallade. Apparently there's going to be a future version of one of the Generation 5 bugs. But there is also Volcarona that's going to get an ancient species. Volcarona already looks like an ancient Pokemon. So to see an ancient variation of that's going to be pretty cool. And then supposedly there's a theory going around that Salamence and Tyranitar are going to be they're each pseudo legendaries, but one will be exclusive to one generation, one will be exclusive to the other, and each in one will get an ancient form, or there'll be an ancient variation, and there'll be a future variation for Tyranitar. So that's interesting.
That is weird. Like this whole future past thing, that's ambitious. I mean,
well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's just a different type of Pokemon with a different explanation for it.
Yeah, because I'm like, that's a lot of.
I mean, if like for example,
to...
I would say regional variants are basically just a new Pokemon, right? But they have the same Pokemon name. They're just like a different type, you know. I feel like ancient species and future species are going to be. Apparently they're going to take the actual Pokedex entry, like a new Pokedex entry, while regional forms don't. But you know, it's just another type of Pokemon, which I'm cool with. Now there's this other idea.
They have like fossil Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. Which is not too different from ancient species, right? But I guess the idea is that with a fossil Pokemon doesn't exist normally in the present. There needs to be some sort of restoration process. Then ancient species, there's a modern day version of it, right? Like Volcarona, Mischievous, Amoonguss, Jigglypuff, those are the modern day versions. So the ancient species would be the ancient form of it, you know? Now there's another thing here to make things even more confusing, supposedly. And again, all this different stuff...
Is this why they're holding back a lot of new Pokemon? Because usually when they have a new gen, they have a lot of new Pokemon, but they didn't really show much.
I think
I was just assuming that they're reusing.
My opinion is that they're just doing a slow drip feed. Like, they're going to give us a little bit at a time. And that's it. Like, yeah, I bet there'll be a new trailer this month, there'll be a new trailer next month. And the hope is that by the time that we're close to release, there'll still be a lot of new stuff that they haven't shown us. And then we find out immediately. But what happens is, first, like, for example, with Sword and Shield, they gave us a few new Pokemon, like, every few weeks. Or, like, you know, a couple a month. And there was still, like, maybe half the new Pokemon that had yet to have been revealed officially. But it was all data mined, and people learned about it, like, a week beforehand or a few days beforehand. But they didn't actually show off all the new stuff until the game came out officially. So I think that's their goal here. So even if it seems like there's not a lot of new Pokemon or a lot of new content, keep in mind that we already have a history of where they actually try not to spoil everything, and they try and save a lot of surprises. But as you said earlier, Mandy, this stuff is cyclical. It's gonna get spoiled by data miners probably.
I'm just thinking that they're not gonna add like new, fresh Pokemon because they're just gonna revamp the ones they already got. Because there's a lot of Pokemon, and I don't blame them if they don't want to like do a whole gen's worth of new Pokemon.
Yeah, well, supposedly the regional dex is gonna be around 400, which I believe is around the same as Sword and Shield. So there's gonna be a mix, right? There's gonna be a mix of old Pokemon. There's gonna be a mix of old Pokemon getting some sort of new form or variation, and there's probably gonna be some new Pokemon as well. Like it's gonna be a blend. There is a rumor that apparently there will be no starter Pokemon in this generation. No old starter Pokemon. There'll still be the new ones.
Oh.
Yeah, but all previous generations of starters won't be there.
No.
Now, another interesting thing here is there's this other thing called convergent species. And basically, I think it's supposed to relate the idea of like divergent evolution. So
this is getting pretty complicated.
I like the idea because tying into like the theory of Darwinism, right? Like how you have one sort of species
and then genetics here.
Yeah, and then they can adapt, right? Like say, some may head toward the sea, some may head toward the land. They eventually become two different types of species. So they adapt in different ways.
See, like how they tackle this, because I think the regional forms is like as close as we got to like a evolution type thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, which I thought was really cool. It's like very Galapagos-like, right? Because in the Galapagos, if you go to different islands, animals that you thought would have been the same have different traits because they're all sort of isolated from each other and they evolve a little differently.
I love the concept. It reuses old Pokemon and it looks cute. And
yeah, gives them another chance. It's super cool. Totally agree with you.
But this convergent species, I'm like, they're getting rambunctious here. They're gonna breed everybody.
Yeah, one more thing I'll bring up with these leaks. I don't have to stick. There's a lot of little stuff. Is that apparently there won't be a daycare, so breeding won't be done the normal way, but there still will be a way to get eggs, but it's gonna be done in a different way. So I wonder how that'll be. And I'll stop sort of sharing to put our faces back on now. I do wonder, like, how, if they don't have a daycare for breeding, how will they handle, eggs? Like, where are we getting the eggs from? Are Pokemon just gonna lay them? Or is it find?
Maybe they do it naturally.
Yeah. Maybe they just find them in the overworld. And then what?
Two Pokemon together, leave them, and then.
An interesting idea, right? Is maybe it forces you to think about, okay, you have to go to certain environments where this Pokemon sort of hangs out. You have to think about where it might breed, right? Where maybe you might find that. So it's just kind of like, okay, this area is where there's a lot of Mankey. Maybe there'll be a Mankey egg over there. And what's cool about that, though, is that if that's how they do it, that's another thing to find in the overworld. It gives you more things to do in the overworld. So that's cool if that's how they do it. Now,
they're gonna like stop Ditto.
I don't know.
Because people use them for breeding all the time.
Yeah, they use them for breeding. Yeah, I don't know. Ditto might not be returning in this region potentially.
Free Ditto.
Yeah.
From its slave.
No more Ditto sex slaves, right? Yeah. I don't know how they're gonna handle it, obviously, but what's fascinating to me is I like the idea that they're headed in this direction of sort of tying in ideas of like evolution and adaptation and just kind of thinking about how animals are. Past and future stuff, but it's almost like they're just kind of expanding upon sort of like how we understand Pokemon, treating them like animals and sort of like a research sort of project. It's cool. I like that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like Pokemon Snap, where it's kind of was more about observation.
For me, I'm kind of cautious because I've been burnt by Pokemon. But the new evolutions, Ancient, if it's true, that's a lot of variants, and I just feel like they
get a
should
little messy.
probably focus on more Pokemon than just like variants of them. But this,
I mean, I think there's going to be a balance, and supposedly the ancient Pokemon count as their own unique Pokedex entries. I'll say that
Jigglypuff, like a rock Jigglypuff.
I think when we hear about all these different leaks and rumors, until they actually present it themselves, we'll see how the idea is actually being conveyed. Because one of those things where, like, we could hear about the rumor, even if it's true, until we see how it's actually executed, we don't know how good or bad it's actually going to be, you know?
Yeah.
Because apparently...
time will tell.
Yeah, only time will really tell. There is another rumor coming out that gyms... There will still be 8 gyms, and you can do them out of order, but supposedly they will not scale in difficulty, or like in level. Which...
What?
Doesn't make sense to me.
That doesn't make sense. A level 10 gym, it's probably like what?
Like, imagine having level 70 Pokemon just fight in the beginning gym then. Like, I hope that's not true.
Yeah, I don't know. They would have to do something with the scaling. So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'm trying to find where on this site it was saying that. Okay, so some gimmicks apparently.
I'm assuming there's like this past future gimmick. Maybe look into the past or think about the future or something.
So apparently there's a gimmick called crystallization. That it changes the look of your Pokemon and it boosts a specific type that you can choose, so it gains an additional stab, basically. Same type attack bonus. Interesting.
That's
so you can sort of change the type of your Pokemon to fly. That sounds cool.
Wait. Imagine you could change, like, the type, like, not just the type, but, like, maybe the ancient and the future ones, like, on the fly?
That would be cool. Like form,
that could be like the gimmick.
Changing the form on the
switch
fly.
It up.
Yeah. My only issue with that, I mean, it's not an issue per se.
It changes the Pokemon too. That would be intriguing.
But can they do that for every single Pokemon?
Probably not. Actually, most likely not.
But then again,
maybe
also
it's just like a Z-ring thing.
Sure, but then also not all Pokemon can Mega Evolve, right? So maybe.
Yeah.
It's a powerful effect, but not every Pokemon has access to it. And it could just be that simple. I like this crystallization idea because something you could sort of do to different Pokemon. Maybe they just add like an aura. So you don't actually have to change the Pokemon. It just has like a green energy if you add a grass stab boost to it, you know? Or a red energy if it's a water type, it adds like a fire stab boost to it. Which could be cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share any images in case these leaks are real. Just search Central Leaks on Twitter. You can look them up. They're all blurry, which again kind of makes me skeptical, but we'll see. We will see on that. Anyway, let's check in what you guys have to say on this in the chat, and then we'll move on here. Let's see. Upper Nimbus, the ancient species variant might be real along with future variants since Legends Arceus had extinct evolutions of modern Pokemon. Yeah, they were already sort of playing around with that idea. Gen 7 revealed almost all Pokemon on Carlo. Say it again?
They had Pokemon Arceus, which had
there were some Pokemon that had different forms, or new evolutions. Ursaring had its evolution. The starters had regional variations of their evolution. They were still the same species, though. Weavile was a different changed, but it also has a new evolution. Though it's not even Weavile. It's you know, Sneasel evolves into something different. I forget the name. I don't even remember the name of it. But then there's also Braviary that has a different form.
Yeah.
What is the name of Sneasel's evolution now? I need to remember. I forgot completely. Googling it. Hisuian Sneasel. What does Hisuian Sneasel evolve into?
Sneasler.
Sneasler, thank you.
Creator.
Yeah.
Sneasler. It's difference. Thank you, Nami.
Wemo Boyskit. Nintendo's most recent tweet notification scared me. So I want to point something out. At this time of the day, there will not be a tweet from Nintendo that will really be newsworthy. If we're gonna get a tweet from Nintendo that will be newsworthy, it'll be sometime between 9 a.m. and noon, pretty much. Anytime after, it might just be remarketing, tweeting some other idea we already pretty much knew about. So if it doesn't happen early in the day, Eastern time, it's not really news. So yeah, don't freak out. But let's ooh, Jean Crow, I love that idea. Rock Dragon for Tyranitar, that'd be pretty cool. Oh, I mean, that's been done before. Well, granted, so has Dark Dragon, but still, Tyranitar is like a Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of, right? So to kind of go along with that idea, it's not too different from Tyrantrum, which is already a rock dragon. So I don't know, it's sort of like done before, but
Wondering if they could add a new type.
I don't think they will, because in the footage, there's a shot in the town that shows like this big logo in the middle of the town, and it has a different types, and there's only space for 18, which is how many types we currently have. So I don't think there's another new type unless the middle represents a 19th type or something, or if it's just, you know, visual trickery. But I don't think so.
Maybe it could be like you change the type.
Yeah, well, that crystallization idea where maybe you can change the type during battle, add a third typing or something, that would be pretty cool. And you can do it on the fly. Like, instead of like doing a Z move or a Mega Evolution or a Dynamax, you're like, oh man, Charizard is gonna get hit by water attack. What do? You use a grass crystallization, and then you add like a grass typing, and maybe that gives him like some water resistance, you know. Or he's gonna do Solar Beam. You do it so his Solar Beam becomes stronger.
Maybe the types are going to be more important, because some people just, like, I don't know typing that well. What's good against what? I just know the basics. But once they get into 2 types, I'm just like, okay, that's a lot.
Yeah. Super Chris added me, Tyranitar is rock and dark. Yes, it is rock and dark. What did I say? Tyrantrum is rock dragon, but the idea is that if Tyrantrum gets a regional form, it could become rock dragon. So that would be neat, but Tyrantrum's already rock dragon, so it would have to be pretty. I would hope it's different from Tyrantrum.
A bug dragon? I think that's a bug dragon.
I'm not sure it exists. No, Upper Nimbus is right.
Dragonfly looking.
Flygon could have gone in Mega Evolution. That would have been cool to see Bug Dragon. Maybe there'll be a regional form for Flygon that's Bug Dragon. That would be neat. So Chris1928 asks, when is Mario Kart coming? You know what? I think that's a good time. I think it's a good segue. Let's talk about this Mario Kart DLC. So we're now on to topic 3, guys. We're in the midway point of the podcast. So basically, there's a number of little things pointing towards Mario Kart DLC finally getting announced soon. I mean, Wave 2, right? And one of those things is that there have been 7-Eleven ads that have been popping up. And if we go back to the Smash Bros. Days, when there were Smash Bros. Ads that were about to expire, they usually meant that a new DLC character was about to get announced. We have 7-Eleven ads that are about to expire for Mario Kart. If the trend follows, then new DLC will get announced soon. But
I mean, it's time.
and that's
we need it.
Exactly. It is time, because in truth, we know that all 6 waves are supposed to come out by the end of 2023. The first wave came out in March. It was announced in February. And I had a theory. I put out a video around then where I theorized that what they were going to do is just have 3 waves come out between the 2 years, divided by 2. But, I mean, the DLC came out late, or a little bit into the beginning of 2022, right? It wasn't like the very beginning. So, really, if you divide it by 24 by 6, that's every 4 months. But it came out in March, so it's really more like 21 months, right? So that window is even smaller than 4 months in reality. But it ultimately comes down to how Nintendo handles it. But basically the point is, once we're already at the point where it's 4 months, we're overdue. The last Mario Kart DLC came out in March. We're coming through July. Like, if it doesn't come out now, it's late. So, in my opinion, I think it makes sense for the Mario Kart DLC to come out sometime this month. And I predicted last week that if we don't see DLC by next Monday, the 25th, I mean, that was my prediction. Like, I'm not going to do things... I'm not betting on it, because, I don't know, I just haven't thought about that. But I'm actually expecting the DLC to get announced this week. But another little piece of information that's supporting this idea, beyond what I just already mentioned... Brandon actually shared this with me earlier this week. Let's see here. He had added me. Brandon, where are you? Okay, there you are. So apparently, I'll just share this tweet with you guys. Alright, so this person said, a friend who works at GameStop just got a poster for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Looks like Wave 2 is indeed coming this week. So, I mean, the fact that they're getting promotional material around this time does support that idea as well.
I'm just wondering, what are the courses? Well, first if it's announced, and then what are the courses? Well, you know...
Yeah,
I'm hoping that they might just do 2 waves at once, maybe.
Hey, that'd be neat, but I don't think so. The way I think it's gonna go, if my theory holds true, right? Wave 1 came out in March. It was announced in February. I thought they would have announced Wave 2 in June for an E3 Direct, but we skipped E3 this year. So I'm thinking they'll just announce it soon, and it'll come out maybe just a day or so later, or maybe even shadow dropped. But Wave 3 might be announced around September, comes out October. And then next year, there'll be an earlier Direct. That's Wave 4 is announced then, it comes out a little bit afterwards. Then hopefully we have E3 or some sort of Summer Direct next year. That's when we get Wave 5 a little bit after that. And then for the late, probably September Direct next year, a little bit after that, we get Wave 6, and there you go. Typically, we get like 3 major directs in a year, unless we have like a weird situation like this year where E3 is canceled. But, you know, exactly, that's it. That's how I think it's going to go. They're just going to space it out like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think there are signs pointing towards it, right? You look at this promotional material stuff, you look at the timing of things. You also consider how Nintendo has announced new things every week pretty much the entire summer. They're like, you know, chaotic. They're like drip feeding the Direct without actually giving us the Direct, right?
Yeah.
So
they've been kind of crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a little crazy. But I think there's a pretty good chance we're getting a few more announcements this week, at least one. And the one I'm really banking on here is the Mario Kart DLC getting announced. I feel pretty good about this. I think Mario Kart, the Wave 2 is getting announced this week. I don't know if it's getting announced this week. I just believe it's getting announced this week. So, you know, if it ends up not being the case, I'm sorry. I'm just telling you what I think. I don't know. I don't have any inside information on this. I'm just telling you what makes sense to me. So
I have less information, so
we'll see, right? But I mean, What would you like to see in Wave 2? Do you have any particular wishes for that?
I love a lot of the double dash courses, so just insert a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
The dinosaur track, the Donkey Kong one with the giant barrel cannon. That one would be good. Cool. Waluigi's Pinball, I think that's from the DS version, but that one would be awesome. Actually, Maple Treeway from Wii, that one's one of my favorites as well.
There's a lot of courses.
Daisy's Cruise?
Yes.
Or was it Peach's Cruise?
That would be awesome.
I'm trying to think of the double dash. Okay, Daisy's Cruise. Yeah. But there was also Peach's Beach, I think.
Peach Beach, yeah.
Peach Beach, yeah. Man, but then there's also the N64 beach as well. There's a lot. There's so much. There's so much that would be really good. Really good. Yeah. My favorite is Maple Treeway though. I'm gonna stand by Maple Treeway.
Really?
I don't know. I think it's the music in that track that really gets me. But like whatever track's at, I'm gonna love. Like I'm not saying every track is amazing, but I just want more Mario Kart content.
The Mario Tour one are like, I don't like them.
You don't like any of the tour tracks in Wave 1?
But then it was nice because I don't play tour, so it was nice to get a new track basically.
Yeah.
But they're just so basic. I don't know.
Okay. They're not the same as the Mario Kart 8 tracks, I'll tell you that. There's definitely a difference there. But I do appreciate them because they feel new, because I haven't played Tour either. Not really, I played it a couple times and that was it. So they feel like new tracks. Some of them feel a little bit simpler, I will give you that. But I also kind of appreciate how the Tour tracks tend to have this sort of like mechanic where each lap's a little different, where it changes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. So I do kind of appreciate that. I do agree though that I would prefer. I think the base Mario Kart 8 tracks are pretty good, or better, I should say. And when I say base Mario Kart 8, I mean base Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because the initial Mario Kart 8 DLC was actually original tracks made for Mario Kart 8, which are also really good. So I mean, yeah, I definitely think those are better, but I'm all for getting some remade tracks and tour tracks as well. Like they're still fun. And who knows, maybe they'll put a little bit more work into Wave 2, you know? Maybe one of the reasons why we haven't gotten information is because they're spending a little bit more time than they did on Wave 1 to kind of make
Coconut
sure...
Mall was nostalgic, yeah, but they could have done more with it.
I agree, you know?
Why is there nobody in this mall?
There's some things that kind of leave a little bit to be desired there. Like, I wish they sort of, like, expanded the boundaries a little bit, made them feel more like a Mario Kart 8 track. Like, visually, they match relatively well. There is a bit of a difference. I feel like there's more texture detail in the original Mario Kart 8 and Deluxe tracks. But, you know, they still ultimately match relatively well, so I don't think it's a big deal. But I would have liked more gameplay stuff, right? Like, maybe slightly bigger tracks. I mean, and there are some differences. But, like, to your point with Coconut Mall, like, the cars at the end don't move. They moved in the initial one. Why? They don't move anymore? You know?
Yeah, I know. That one, I was just like, damn.
I don't want to be too negative, because I'm been waiting for this. I'm excited for it. But I do feel like the tracks we've gotten the booster course pass, a lot of them feel like basically, hey, they're already kind of working on this for Tour. They're just sort of like upscaling Tour, you know. There's a little bit more work than just upscaling. It's more than that, but it's not like full on new remakes either. They're basically repurposing Tour content. Then I hope it ends up being more than that.
I wanted just like a Mario Kart 9, but that wasn't gonna happen. So I was like, fine, I'll take the courses.
Yeah. Jean-Carlos seems to agree with me here. He added me. I think the reason second wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC is taking so long to release is because Nintendo's improving on it. Nintendo wants to make the tracks better after their critics of Wave 1. I'm really hoping for that. Really hoping for that.
I thought they had it all done, but if they're taking the time to maybe tweak it up, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I'm okay with waiting a little bit more if it means they're better. That's okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, Peach Garden. Yeah, I'm down for that one, SMG Gamer. Yeah.
That one was from the DS, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah,
that
one's
one was
good.
good.
Super Chris, Koopa Troopa Beach. Okay.
There's a lot of beaches.
Yeah. Was that the
Everyone
N64
gets a
one?
beach. I think so. I don't think it was a mainline kind of Mario Kart. I would have remembered.
Koopa Troopa?
Yeah.
I thought that was the N64 one, but I could be super mistaken. Ooh, you know what's one I want to come back? Oh, did it come back already? The one that's like where there's cannons being shot.
That's a lot
on
of
a beach.
Shots on a beach? Okay.
Yeah, Koopa Troopa was the N64 one. Oh, but you know what? There's some Mario Kart 7 tracks I would like to see. There's like the one with like the castle.
Oh, the DS one, yeah.
It's 3DS.
The one with the castle. That's big.
I know. It's like
the one with the road.
There's like a castle you like sort of ride
I
around.
remember the one with the bridge that I hated. But the one where you could like shortcut through the bridge.
I think it's called Wario Shipyard.
Really?
I think that's the one I'm thinking about. Ooh, Maku Wahoo food would be also good. From Wii Sports Resort. There's a
lot of them they could use.
There's so many tracks. Yeah. So let's let's move on here though. Okay. We're gonna talk about Bayonetta for a bit, then we'll transition to Nintendo Pictures, and then we'll take a few more questions and call it a night. Okay.
Alrighty.
So Bayonetta 3 finally got a trailer announcing its release date. They got the special editions out October 28th, a day before my birthday, right before Halloween.
Let's go.
It looks
such
awesome.
A good date.
I think it's a great trailer too. Like that, it's everything.
I'm pretty excited. I don't know lore-wise, but I'm just in for the ride. Like, I do love the thing that they did with the options. I'm like, yes, I've always said more options in a game is better, whether it be difficulty or stuff like that.
Less risque mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna play like that, but
I will play in the original risque mode.
I like that they didn't just like censor it or anything. They kind of made it.
Yeah.
It's up to you, basically.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Either version is fine.
The way they said it's funny. It's like if you want to play in the living room or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like.
So your mother can watch.
Like, again, it doesn't apply to me, but I love how they.
Yeah.
Bringing more options.
I even though I'm probably not gonna play in that mode, I just think it's a nice attention to detail as well. Like, I appreciate that they did that. I think even just kind of talking about it, like, that kind of gives the game a little bit more like press, right? Because not too many games do that. Like, if a game is gonna be risque, right? They're just gonna do it. Bayonetta is kind of like unapologetically like that. So you could argue this sort of goes against that a little bit, but it's still like that. It's still a default way to play. But they're like, hey, you know what? Here's this. You know, it's almost
too risque.
It's a little different, but I think there's some similarity. Like, for example, imagine if a Souls game, if From Software would announce, hey, we're coming out with a new Souls game, and we're gonna have an easy mode.
Oh my god, people are still throwing bricks at me for that.
If there's
with Elden Ring,
yeah, people will get pissed about it. Be like, oh, that's not how you're supposed to do it. It may not be the normal way, but also think about this: Bayonetta is about being a sexy witch that destroys, you know, paranormal things. Like, that's what she does. So when you start censoring that, it does take away a bit from her character and her lore a bit, right? Now, it's not a
Yeah.
gameplay. It doesn't affect the gameplay, right? And with Dark Souls or just From Software games, it would affect the gameplay. So it is different, but in the sense that the developers go back and they change something around so it could appeal to a larger audience. And it's something that
Options is
arguably
always
goes
good.
against what the game is about. That part is similar, right? And they're doing it. It took some time to do that because they actually literally have to come up with different like skins and like actual like different costumes to fit that. So that required some work. I'm not saying there will ever be a From Software game that will have an easy mode, but I'm just saying there's some similarity there if they were to have done that. Now,
I just love how like the whole it's okay to have options kind of vibe. Most games usually just say one thing or another, but options is a thing people. And yeah, it's not the same scale as Elden Ring on an easy mode, but hey, options. But I'm not gonna sit here and say there's gonna be
yeah, I
easy
mean, I'm
mode in
not
Elden
mad
Ring.
that there's an option. Like,
No.
it doesn't bother me as an option. The options are okay, It's not. It's one of those things though. Like, if the option wasn't there, I wouldn't be mad about it. But I'm not mad either way, and I appreciate that they did it because it's kind of neat just to sort of talk about it, see that they had that there. And I guess one thing I do like about it though, it is interesting to see the difference. Like, it's fun to see. Okay, they say, okay, so this is how she looks normally. What did they do to censor this? Like, it is fun to see how they cover that stuff up.
Yeah.
Like,
'Cause I think with her transformations,
I would not have
just
even
her
thought that
body.
needed that. I never even thought that would have needed like censoring though. Like, it was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
like
whatever.
for me it's normal, but like
We're just so desensitized.
yeah, exactly. And
Because
plus it's Bayonetta, like
in truth, though, I never, even though I talked about how it's kind of part of what Bayonetta is, I never really thought like, oh man, Bayonetta should really be toned down. Like, that never once crossed my mind. I never even like thought Bayonetta was like that bad. It's just the game.
I mean, yeah,
It's for fun.
most dudes think that. Like, I never thought she needed to be toned down or anything. But I'm not really a stickler for boobs in my games or anything.
Yeah.
But some people are, so like I said, options are always
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, and ultimately it's an option, and that's fine. But going beyond that though, like, were you thinking this game wasn't gonna make it for this year then?
Yeah, I thought it wasn't gonna make it this year. I was gonna have the Breath of the Wild thing
Yeah,
next year.
they took a long time, but
let's rip the Band-Aid off.
but the
I was
thing
waiting
is,
for
it
that.
was also taking so long that it was also late to even announce a delay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was like, what is it then? But then they announced it, and I was like, yay!
Yeah,
Finally!
it's
Yes.
it's coming in time, and I gotta tell you, I was talking about this on Nintendo Prime's podcast actually a few days ago. But seeing the game, I have Bayonetta 1, I haven't finished it. My objective is to eventually beat Bayonetta 1, beat Bayonetta 2, and then play Bayonetta 3. But I gotta tell you, after seeing Bayonetta 3 in this trailer, I was kinda feeling the game, but not like super like 100% committed to it. After seeing the most recent trailer, there's something about it that made me think, yeah, this is it. I'm gonna get this game. I'm trying to figure out what it was about the trailer that really sold me this time. I think
Gameplay?
something that, I mean, probably. I think it was the gameplay. Like, seeing her transformation, seeing her take a hold over these giant Titan monsters, and just seeing how like that seems to be really fun. I love
like
that.
the whole design too.
Yeah, the
She looks
design.
like
I'm really feeling the
very
aesthetic of the game. That I also appreciate as well. It looked fun, Like, it looked really well done.
because I've never really played Bayonetta for the lore. I mean, it's there, and it's
Yeah.
a very good like game story wise, but the gameplay, man, is what gets me. It's so good. That platinum style gameplay.
Yeah, it's fast and there's a lot going on there.
I feel like they really, in recent years, they really like worked on their type of gameplay. So like the more recent platinum games are just like very nice.
You know, something to consider. Bayonetta 2 came out 2014. This game is coming out 8 years later. Isn't that crazy to think about?
That is, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it didn't seem like we were waiting that long because they announced Bayonetta 3 in 2017. But we waited 5 years, basically. Almost 5 whole years for Bayonetta 3 to come out. It's crazy.
Like, putting that into words is like, so much time.
But, you know,
it flies by.
You just made me think about that as we were talking about how, like, you know, Platinum Games has really continued to, like, pioneer and focus on fast-paced combat gameplay in a lot of their games. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to compare Bayonetta 1 to 3. I mean, Bayonetta 1 to 2 and then to 3 as well, which is now making me realize, man, I really should probably get on that Bayonetta 1, finish it, get to 2, play it through, and be ready for Bayonetta 3. But anyway, the point I was making, though, is that I think they did a great job of selling the game. Like, the game seems awesome, and to be totally frank with you, I'm way more interested in Bayonetta 3 than I am for Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Like, if I'm picking between those two games, I'm picking Bayonetta 3.
Ooh, there's a lot of games coming out.
Yeah, October is completely stacked. Tons of games coming out then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's going to be tough. But, you know, I want to throw this question out at you. How are we on time? Okay, we've been going for about an hour and a half. Yeah. So, we're getting there, guys. We're getting near the end. Do you think anything else is going to get announced from Nintendo for this year? Or do you think that's it?
Honestly, no.
Excluding Mario Kart DLC, you know.
I don't think so.
No?
They're probably just focusing on the next year.
Maybe.
Maybe some remakes, but I don't see like anything big. Like, I don't see a Metroid Prime anywhere near this year.
Well,
or next year.
Well, let me throw that at you. Okay, so I did want your opinion on that. So the rumor is that Metroid Prime Remake or Remaster is going to be Nintendo's holiday game, alongside Pokemon. That's the story from Jeff Grubb. Now, you know, when you say you don't think Metroid Prime, do you mean like Metroid Prime 4, or do you mean not even like Metroid Prime Remake? Do you think?
4.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think Metroid Prime. I'm not even sure Prime 4 comes out next year. I want Prime 4 to come out next year, and I think it could come out next year, but I don't know how far into development they are. I mean, look how long it took to make Bayonetta 3, and supposedly they didn't restart development for that game, right? They did restart development for Prime 4. Look how long Breath of the Wild 2 is taking. So there are some games that take a long time, and I think the thing about Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4 and Breath of the Wild 2, these aren't small, simple games. These are games that require significant development effort. They require a great deal of planning and preparation. They push the system. They're going to push the Switch's system to like its limits. You know, like they're going to be showcases for what the Switch is actually capable of. You know what I mean? So if you're not even a fan of Bayonetta, maybe even consider it for that. Just to, like, kind of see what the Switch can do with Bayonetta 3, because Bayonetta 3 is definitely going to be a system pusher, like in terms of like physical, like it's pushing the hardware is what I'm trying to say, not sales wise, like just graphically, performance wise, and that takes time and effort. You know, it's a 60 frame per second game. There's crazy stuff happening. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of detail. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. Like, it's a very cool game. And when I say aesthetically pleasing, I mean regardless of which mode it is. Naive angel mode or not so naive angel mode, that doesn't really matter. Like, the game looks good regardless. But so yeah, games like that, you know, they're definitely taking a long time. But I'm mostly thinking that if there is anything coming out this year, it is something they would, a remake. Metroid Prime Remake is what I think could be announced for November, and that's kind of it. I'm even starting to lose a little bit of faith in the Zelda remaster. I mean, I've been losing faith for a long while. I don't think Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD are super likely for this year at this point. They could still happen.
They are. Because it's like an easy here.
Right. And,
I mean,
and that's kind of like the one thing that's kind of going for, right? They could announce it this week and say it's coming out in August. They could totally do that, and it would work. Because they're games they're not games that they've already been done. They were made for Wii U. And those games that were made for Wii U were remasters of games that came back out on GameCube. So,
yeah,
you know, these are ports of remasters that are from years ago. So, like, they could totally announce them and have them come out, 5 to 7 weeks later. Not a stretch. But I do think that they aren't going to be something that we would see in October or November. Maybe they could throw them in December because that's sort of an emptier month. But I just don't see a port of a remaster of a Zelda game coming out that late into the year. Right? That's what it is.
That's a lot.
That's what it is.
That's what gaming has come to. A port of a remaster.
Exactly. I just think that the latest they can come out is September, in my opinion. Now, they don't have to announce them this month, but if we don't see an announcement for them next month, I just don't see them happening. Unless they're like an eShop only release. But I think there's going to be a physical version for them. Now I will say August is an empty month for Nintendo. So I think August actually fits really well for the Zelda remasters if they're coming out, maybe say late August. But we are running out of time for that announcement because they need somewhat of a window there. So they got to be announced soon if they're happening, like maybe like this week soon. I'm starting to doubt that they can happen because another thing to consider, Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out spring, right? So if that comes out, say March, which is usually when the spring games from Nintendo come out, do you really think they want to put out a Zelda game like that shortly, like that? Like, there's got to be somewhat of a window, right? A half a year makes sense, but like, I don't see it coming out in January, right? Or just like December. Like, that seems a little bit too soon, unless Breath of the Wild 2 is taking even longer and it's getting delayed again.
Dang.
I hope not.
Me either.
I hope not.
I was like, okay with next year, but don't. No.
I mean, and on that note, though, right? Like, if we don't get a Twilight Princess or Wind Waker in August or September, not that big a deal, because Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out in, well, we don't know if it's coming out in March, but it is coming out supposedly spring, which is not that long away. It's not that far away. So, then maybe that's what Nintendo's thinking. We're so close to Breath of the Wild 2, there's no point in putting another Zelda in between.
There is never, like, too many Zeldas. I could play all of them, really.
Yeah. And, we didn't dive too deep into this, but, like, for example, Kirby has 2 games this year. Why can't there be 2 different Zelda games that come out 6 months apart? Now, granted, there's 2 different styles of gameplay for Kirby. One's a spin-off, one's mainline. Twilight Princess and Wind Waker would be older, traditional style of Zelda. So, that's something conceivably they could do, but maybe they don't because they're like longer style games. But they're also, I don't know. Like, they're doing a physical release for Bayonetta 1, now.
That's weird, yeah.
Even though Bayonetta 3 is coming out. Like, Bayonetta 1 already came out, but I guess what it is that the idea of one Zelda game coming out a few months beforehand isn't necessarily like going to impact sales for the other. It might even work the other way around, right? Where people might want to play a Wind Waker or a Twilight Princess, even if it is only 4 or 5 months beforehand, just to kind of tie things over until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. So
yeah, there's never too much Zelda. Like, Zelda overload is not a problem. Well, to me, it's not a problem.
So I'm like trying to talk myself back into it now as we like go over it. I'll stick by what I said. If we don't see it announced within the next like 6 weeks, I probably won't think it's coming out this year.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think the year is kind of like already, unless they surprise me, like
Yeah.
I have no objections to that. But
I still think Metroid Prime can get announced, but if Bayonetta comes out October, right? They just announced it last week. If Metroid Prime's coming out like a couple weeks later, when they should probably announce that soon. And actually, let me take a look at something here, because we already have a date for Scarlet and Violet, and there might not even
Pokemon
be
games always come out
like a good time to November 18th. So November 18th. All right, so there's November 4th, November 11th, November 18th. I would guess that if Metroid Prime is coming out, it's coming out November 11th. Because I don't see it coming out a week after Bayonetta 3. 2 weeks so I can see. It won't come out the same week as Pokemon. And I just think November 25th is maybe a little bit too late into the year. So I think November 11th is when I could see it happening. I'll point out that they did the same thing for Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl last year. They were a week apart. So I think they could do that again, but that's kind of like it. So I think if we're getting announcements, we still have a few weeks for like something like remaster remix, but beyond that, I think we're pretty much done. And if there's another direct this year, say in September, it'll be more focused on giving us a bit more information about things already confirmed and outlining early next year. And on that note, though, one more thing I haven't mentioned today that kind of came up as I was preparing the show, like right before I started everything. There's a listing, an online listing for Advance Wars to come out February 24th. So if it's finally going to come out, it won't be coming out this year, it'll be coming out next year. Which...
that game is already done.
It's been done. It was supposed to come out last December, but it got delayed, and then because of the war, it got delayed again. So if they do come out within next February, it could be a placeholder, it's just one website. These things aren't always accurate. That's fine.
Like, oh yeah, we have this game that's been sitting here.
Because right now, we don't even really know much about what Nintendo's doing early next year beyond Breath of the Wild 2. So they do need games to start to sort of release next year as well. And at some point, they're going to have to start giving us details on that. So I can see Advance Wars is going to be coming out February. Maybe we skip January, right? Actually, you know what? Maybe Metroid Prime comes out in December. We have seen December games for Nintendo before, so it doesn't even have to be a November game, So that's a possibility. But I feel like September is when they'll start to announce a few games that are coming on the first half of 2023. So, we'll see on that. But, when would you like to see Advance Wars? Do you even care about Advance Wars?
Me? I don't, personally. No. I have subscribers that do, so... yeah. But, maybe I'll try it, but it's not like a game that's...
Do you like strategy games?
Mm-hmm.
You're a fan of Fire Emblem?
Yep.
Well, if you're a fan of Fire Emblem, you might like Advance Wars. There's some similarities there.
Yeah.
But do you like Fire Emblem more for like the aesthetic and like the characters, or you like it more for the gameplay? Or is it?
I like it both.
For both.
But yeah, I like Valkyria Chronicles. I like a lot of like strategic games. Oh, I like the gameplay for Triangle Strategy.
I haven't played it, but yeah, it's
the game is trash, but the gameplay is good at least.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. Good to know. But let's jump into our final topic. Well, we will. I just want I'll just check with a couple things in the chat here, and we'll do that. Let's see. Jugs McGee. Though what is still bothering me is that Bayonetta 3 is 60 frames per second, yet Astral Chain is 30 frames per second. Platinum, make up your mind, please. Right? I think the thing is, with Bayonetta, the standard was already set for 60 frames per second. When you already have a series that's known for 60 frames per second gameplay, I don't think you can go back.
Nintendo has done that. Just a few games.
Sure, but I mean, if the Wii U had 60 FPS Bayonetta 1 and 2, and then they put it out both Bayonetta 1 and 2 in 60 frames per second on Switch, I don't think you don't go back to 30 frames per second. You don't do it.
You don't.
Now, Astral Chain is honestly an oddity for Platinum games. In general, Platinum games run at 60 frames per second. But, you know, I played through Astral Chain. I think it's actually one of the better games on Switch. I think it's one of the better Platinum games, period. It's a very good game. And I do think it is a technical showcase for what the Switch can do. And, you know, even though it's only 30 frames per second, the gameplay is smooth. For 30 FPS gameplay isn't bad gameplay. It's a lot of games run at 30 frames per second. It's totally fine. But, you know, 60 FPS, there is a bit more fluidity to that. It does feel a little bit more, I guess, dynamic, or it feels more organic. It's kind of, I'm trying to like verbalize the feeling I get when I'm looking at the difference.
Yeah, like I can tell the difference.
You feel it
between the frame rates, yeah.
You do, but you know, it works. It's more suited for games that are faster, especially when it's sort of competitive. That all said, you know, Astral Chain is technically not the same series as Bayonetta, you know. So they did it. It was a discussion point at the time, but the game was still great, and it performed well. I think they were really focusing on creating a very like visually demanding game, so that's why they used 30 FPS as a target, and it was fine. But Bayonetta is known for 60 FPS gameplay, so I just don't think they can go back down. They can't backtrack. If they were the same series, it'd be a different conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag with Switch games. Like it's either 30 or 60. You pick it.
Yeah.
And as we get like further down the age, like 6 years, the games are starting to get a little bit, you know, they're starting to reach that peak of the Switch.
But yeah, how much more can they push the system, right?
Poor thing.
I mean, we're seeing some games that look pretty good from Nintendo, right? Like Switch Sports looks pretty good. Splatoon 3 looks pretty good. Mario Rabbids looks pretty good. Bayonetta 3 looks awesome, you know? Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it's impressing. Like, Nintendo's putting out some lookers, and there have been some good third-party games too. Don't get me wrong. But let's get into that final topic. So, basically, Nintendo acquired Dynamo Pictures. They didn't want to lose the ability to rely on them to make CGI. They bought them, and they're going to be renaming them to Nintendo Pictures. Now, the Dynamo Studio, they have helped Nintendo in the past, like for example with the Pikmin shorts, and I believe the Metroid Other M CGI as well. And those are some pretty good things. Like the footage we saw from those things are, you know, like that's good stuff to watch. Like I want to say, like, it is reminiscent of movie quality, right? Like it's something that I could see that if they had a modern effort with higher resolutions, with a little bit more time and effort, like they could make a show or a movie out of that kind of quality. And there's been a bit of a discussion of Nintendo rebranding to Nintendo Pictures. Does that mean that they're going to use the studio to make full-on like TV shows or like movies or animes? And I mean, we don't have that answer. But
I don't think
considering
so.
the history of the studio, though, is it really fair to think that they would jump all the way up to movies? You know?
Probably with the Mario movie, they kind of maybe maybe it's like it's a big thing. Maybe they're gonna expand it. I hope so, but I have my reservations on that. I feel like they need to focus on the games first, but
yeah. I mean, they have separate efforts. So let's look up the history of Dynamo Pictures. Maybe we can see what they've done, because they haven't just worked with Nintendo, right? Maybe they have done some stuff.
I think they worked on cartoons. I don't think.
I want to see. I want to look at their history. First thing comes up is Wikitroid. Which is like, yep, they worked on Metroid Other M for a little bit. I want to know what they've done. Okay, so
They worked on Detective Pikachu? Maybe?
okay, I'm looking here. Apparently they worked on Dragon Ball Superhero, which is an anime movie. They worked on Evangelion 2.0, an anime movie.
Yo.
That
was good.
They've worked on a One Piece movie. They've worked on a lot of anime movies. So they make movies.
Anime.
They make movies. They're animated movies. So basically I think this matters. So basically what I'm trying to get at here, for at least from what I'm interpreting, I could see a scenario where they do make like an actual anime movie or a CGI movie. Like I can see that happening based off the history that I just looked up. But I also don't expect it to be a situation where they turn it into this massive studio, at least not immediately, and they start putting out movies like, say, for example, Disney, where there's like movies coming out left and right, or it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where we're just seeing several Marvel movies a year. It's not going to be like that. Like, they may start working on movies, but it might be one every few years. And they'll be cool animated movies that might be great. You could argue that maybe Nintendo wants to use these animations for their video games instead, and that may be the case. They can work on more than one thing at once, so they may have some CGI stuff in their games, which they already do. But if I were to guess, I don't think CGI is a big deal in games as much, because as sort of hardware continues to improve, a lot of games, especially Nintendo games, sort of just use the actual in-graphics engine to have those cutscenes already. Not to mention if Nintendo can contract to someone else to do that if they want to have some outside work done, as they did back with Metroid Other M and the Pikmin shorts with Dynamo Pictures before they bought them. I actually am sort of warming to the idea that maybe they will use Nintendo Pictures to make some animated movies or shows in the future. I can see it happening.
Hopefully. I mean, they could do a lot with that. It's better to have it than to not.
Right.
But
and
as long as they keep up with the games, I'm good.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, when they acquired this studio, this is a CGI movie animation studio, right? Like, it's good that they have this. That way, that eases the development load on other studios to make the cutscenes, because they can just focus on gameplay. If that's what if they need to have CGI in one of their games, they're like, hey, look, we already have a studio here. We don't have to partner up with an outside company to do so. But I think there's definitely some cool potential here. Like I would love to see like a Zelda animated movie. Like how epic would that be if they were to announce an anime Nintendo movie that's something similar to like what we've seen from this company, like Evangelion, for example, but it's based off Zelda and not Evangelion. That would be crazy cool.
That would be crazy weird, but I don't know. It depends how they execute it.
I'm not saying it's like Evangelion. I'm just saying like it's an anime movie.
Yeah, I know.
That's all I mean. It's slipping my mind. There's a whole bunch of like really good animated movies. What's the Breath of the Wild is based off one of them. Studio Ghibli. Like the Studio Ghibli films. Like imagine they were to make a Zelda movie comparable to one of those. Now Studio Ghibli is not very action based, but like from like an aesthetic standpoint, like I could see them putting something like that together. It would take a few years, but I could see that happening. That would be amazing.
I'll sign up.
Yeah. I mean, they could do other stuff too, you know. They could have, like, what if they have them make like animated shorts to hype up other games? Like, remember the Star Fox animated short? Do you remember that? Well, they had like back
I know
on the
what
Wii
it
U.
is, but I never watched it.
Well, there was this little short that they made for Star Fox in anticipation for Star Fox Zero, and it was like a cool like animated little thing of Star Fox Zero characters. It wasn't long, but imagine they were to do a few of those for another game. So, for example, Dynamo Pictures worked on Metroid Other M once upon a time. What if they were to put together some like Metroid Prime 4 like little story tidbits? Like, you know, there's a couple shorts that are meant to sort of excite fans for Prime 4, but also tell a bit of a story in terms of what happened between Metroid Prime 3 and 4. You know, kind of talk about that.
Prime people for Prime.
Right, Prime appeal for Prime 4, exactly. And that maybe that's something that now Nintendo Pictures could do. But let's talk about that name for a second, because Nintendo Pictures also feels like it could be like a movie studio, you know? Like, it feels like that. And I would love it if they were to make the studio even bigger and they were to output maybe more films like every couple of years. Like, that would be so cool.
Yeah, like I said, I'd rather they focus on gaming, and then kind of when they have, I guess, time or whatever, they'll do something like that in their studio. Like I said, it's a good thing to have. So, you know, it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, as long I don't see it taking away from their development, because it's a separate branch, you know. Like, the development of the Mario movie isn't getting in the way of the development for the Mario game. They have Illumination working on that, so, you know, I think there's some cool stuff that can come out of it. T. Elijah Morrison, don't forget Kid Icarus had that anime too. Yeah, there was that. Remember that one. Yeah. I remember when they that little short that they made for Smash Brothers of Link and Pit fighting, and I think it was meant to introduce Palutena as a character, and it was a really cool, really super awesome, super fluid fight between Link and Pit, in an anime-like style, which fits so well. Pit is from Kid Icarus. He's the main character, just for those who don't know. I was talking to the audience, not necessarily you.
Yeah, we haven't had a Kid Icarus game in forever.
We need one of those. I'm theorizing. Did you hear about that Bandai Namco remake that is for Nintendo? The Bandai
Namco remake?
Yeah, the Bandai Namco's remaking a Nintendo action game.
That could be a lot of things.
I'm theorizing that it's Kid Icarus. I don't know that. I mean, there's a few other things it could be. It could be like Star Fox, right? It could be...
Yeah, it could be a lot of games.
Yeah. I'm hoping they're remaking Kid Icarus Uprising, though, because I think that game would fit so well. That's one of those few games that, like, would benefit so well, not just from, like, a graphic standpoint, but if it was made for Switch, it had such an awesome, like, online multiplayer mode, but it was on 3DS. So, like, online matches were only so good, right? The games would drop left and right. That online experience would be so much better on Switch by comparison. And then the gameplay too, because it needed an analog stick, but you only had the touchscreen. And so many people complained about that. They brought out like the boat and stuff like that. Like, Kid Icarus Uprising would just play so much better if it had a normal traditional controller, and if it was on a system that had at least somewhat bearable online experience, which the Switch has compared to the 3DS. It would be so much better just for those reasons. But then if they remake it, you know, they could enhance the you know, more quality of life stuff, and improve the visuals, maybe add even more content. Not that they need to, because that game has tons of content. Like, I don't know. I think that would be a really good fit. It would be a massive improvement. But let's check in with the chat here. And then we'll end things. So, guys, final questions, final ideas or theories, and then we'll be calling it a night. Jugs McGee, what if this leads into Nintendo producing their own shows instead of relying on other animation studios like Illumination on a contract basis? Maybe, you know, I love the idea of seeing a Nintendo movie every couple of years. I'm super excited for Dragon Ball Superhero. Like, I think that looks really good. Yeah, it's funny how it has Super twice. But apparently the Toriyama just forgot that Dragon Ball had Super in the name, so he thought it was gonna be Dragon Ball Superhero, but he forgot that it's now called Dragon Ball Super, so it became Dragon Ball Superhero.
Go to the power of 2.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But that movie it's apparently pretty good. It hasn't come out in the States yet, but it's releasing next month. And, you know, it's a combination of 3D models, moving around 3D animation, but also with drawn on anime style. And a lot of the scenes look really good. And I've seen some of the visuals from the movie, and it looks amazing. I can't wait to see it next month. I can envision Nintendo doing something like that for one of their franchises. That would just be super cool. Like, I mean, come on. Like, we were talking about it now, like cool. The Kid Icarus or Zelda anime. Like, that would be amazing to see that done, an animated film like that. Heck, what if they were to do a Smash Bros. Movie, which brought in a whole bunch of Nintendo characters?
That's a project.
It's a project and a half. You know, that's probably me getting a little too overzealous with what Nintendo may do, but you never know, right? It starts.
Yeah, you never know.
It starts off with a movie or two, and if those are successful, maybe they make more and they become more consistent. The studio gets bigger. You got to start somewhere though, and you don't start with Smash. I think it first starts with a successful Mario movie here. Hopefully, you know, we get a trailer soon, and it does well, and then Nintendo can start working. They already have ideas for different animated movies. So we'll see what happens. Is there like a particular series from Nintendo you would love to like be made into a movie?
Zelda, but again, I don't know how that's gonna work when Link doesn't talk.
What if Link does talk? What if Breath of the Wild 2, Link has voice acting?
I mean, I would love that. I've been trying to say that forever, but everyone's like, no, that's a bad idea. I think
with Breath of the Wild 2, you rip off the Band-Aid, and once they finally give Link a voice, there's no going back.
Yeah, at least more emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think he'll do good if, like, pan face with the TV show.
I agree. Like, they would need Link to be expressive, absolutely. And if he doesn't say a word, it's weird.
And especially when he's talking to other people, it's like...
I mean, like, look at Breath of the Wild, right? Like, I think the flashback scenes are really good, but they felt a little awkward because they were conversations, not monologues, but they were done like monologues because Link wouldn't respond.
Yeah, I was like...
Yeah.
That's awkward, man.
It's awkward. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's like they had some expression with Skyward Sword, and then Breath of the Wild, he was just like pan face. Like that.
You know what?
Smiled like a few times outside camera mode.
You know what? I do agree that Skyward Sword felt more expressive in terms of the cutscenes. I agree with that. Zelda was pretty expressive in Breath of the Wild, but yeah, with Link specifically,
oh yeah, she got a voice.
I'm having a hard time remembering a lot of expression from Link. It was there, but it like there were also
rarely.
So, you know the scene where Zelda's crying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Link has a sad face too, but you're so focused on Zelda because she's obviously like the star of the scene. So it's not as like significant.
That's the most emotion you'll get out of him, I think, the whole game.
Yeah, but he is pretty much straight face. Like he doesn't show us near. He's very stoic, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Zelda wrote in her diary, like, this dude does not talk to me. Damn,
I think
that must have been
but
awkward.
he would eventually open up, and he would actually talk a decent amount, but only to her. He wouldn't talk to other people.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Weird, but cute.
Joy CJ, animated directs, I think it could work. Like if they had some animated shorts specifically for a direct, it wouldn't be too different from when they have the Smash reveals and they have a Smash character and there's like an animation there. It really is very similar. So it's not out of the question. See, Elijah, if that Mario movie will be on Netflix or Hulu, honestly, I don't think it'll be on either. I think it'll be something you have to purchase to watch. Although, I mean, I don't know how Nintendo's going to handle where we watch their content out once it's out of theaters. This is a great question. I mean, where do we watch Detective Pikachu? Is Detective Pikachu on Netflix? I don't think so. So, you know, I think that's kind of answers your question. Where can I watch? Yeah, you have to rent the movie. Rent or buy the movie. You can't just like watch it on a streaming app.
Wind Waker Link had good expressions. I think because he has the Toon Link.
Yeah, that they made a leap in expression with that game, for sure. Paco Salvador, I think Nintendo will use that studio to help make their video game cinematics more than an anime or a movie, to be honest. So, at first, I thought so too, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but let me show you this. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll just show you this kind of like list of things they've done, and a lot of it are anime movies. A lot. So, sorry, it's kind of cut off here. Let me see that. I guess I could just move this over. There. Now you can see. There's all these are like movies. Dragon Ball Superhero, Evangelion. I don't know some of these, but there's a lot. There's a Final Fantasy movie. Like there's all of these. There's Resident Evil. Like there's a lot of movies. Gundam. So, you know, this studio has history of making animated movies. And the fact that they call it Nintendo Pictures, that's what they're renaming it to. That, to me, does feel like they could do movies. Now, I'm not saying it's going to only be movies. I agree. They're going to use that studio however they see fit, whatever benefits them the most. They're probably going to, at times, use them to make some CGI for their games. Maybe they will have a cool little animation in a direct or two. You know, and maybe they'll make some movies. It's just going to depend. But that may be like their dedicated sort of like CGI studio. And wherever they think they're going to have whatever CGI products they want to do, that'll be sort of the focus. Kind of like how Nintendo uses Monolith Soft to like work on large worlds. So Nintendo has multiple studios, but Monolith Soft tends to help out with their other studios on developing large open worlds or large worlds to explore. So, you know, I can see Nintendo Pictures being something like that where they help out with CGI, but they also are working on a movie at the same time. They could do both. It doesn't just have to be one thing. But obviously, only time will tell how things actually pan out and what we actually get. So, I think we're pretty much done here. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I would love to see, a theater release from Nintendo. That would be cool. I mean, we're going to get the Mario movie, so we'll see that. But, yeah, any final thoughts, Mandy? Anything in particular you want to mention or talk about before we close things out?
No, I'm good.
Okay. want to shout out any projects or anything you're working on with your channel?
No, just that I have a Nintendo channel. It's Mandy Lee Plays. If you wanna, you know, watch something, leave a like, subscribe if you like it, all that stuff. That's about it.
Cool. Cool. Well, guys, make sure to check out Mandy. Her channel, again, is linked in the description below. Thanks for watching. If you could leave a like, that would be appreciated. Would help out a bunch. And we'll see y'all really soon. Take care.
Peace, peace.
Cool.